Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pick up at part 2 for today. We're going to talk about the Northwest Ordinance, but I will go back real quick and just tell you one more thing about this. So remember, when you are doing your document of the week this week, which is about this document, we're going to have another document today we're looking at just as practice. This is your document of the week. Unit 2, primary document 1, or more importantly, this is how you'll list it as a source in your document of the week, the excerpts from the Declaration of Independence. This is what you're writing about this week. So remember to do a summary based on all of this. Do your opinion. Maybe you could focus on whether or not you feel they've lived up to all people being created equal. And then the challenge for the week is this a primary or secondary document, and why? All right, so let's go back to our notes. Northwest Ordinance. So we don't cover the Revolutionary War in this class. We're just covering some of the documents. But in between 1776 and 1787, we won. We won against, honestly, all odds in this war for independence. And we won partially because a lot of countries were helping us, not because they liked us, but because they didn't like the British, and because the British had to fight so far away from home. So we started to realize with this new land we were going to have, how were we going to distribute it? What were we going to do with it? And that's what the Northwest Ordinance is all about. So the Northwest Ordinance is a law that divided territory held by the United States, and we are becoming the United States at this time, into smaller areas and provided for these territories to become states. So we had 13 original states. And really, I think a lot of people assumed then, as our country expanded, we would just have 13 really, really awkward big states. In other words, we wouldn't be Ohio, we would be, in western Pennsylvania, like really western Pennsylvania. Hawaii might be like Connecticut Part 2, who knows? So that's what it was assumed, but this document said, no. What we're going to do is create a process where territory can be added that will eventually, after it jumps through a few hoops, be allowed to become a state. And that state will become the 14th, the 15th, the 16th, and we've done this process all the way through 50 states. Now, what's notable about this first territory is another step in that, in sort of those ideals of our Declaration of Independence. Slavery was banned in these territories. So slavery never existed in the Northwest Ordinance territory. And so that's a big step. That's, it's far later than it should have been, but a step in the right direction. It also encouraged public education by saying, okay, we're going to divide, we're basically going to survey all this territory, and we're going to divide it up into these townships, and we're going to set aside 1/36, I believe, of the land in every township for public schools, for public education. So that would be maybe where the school was, or the school was entitled to sell that land to raise money to run the school. And so, first public document to encourage public education. And the states that it eventually became were Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Now I'm going to show you on a blank map real quick. Hopefully you know all of these states already, right? If you don't know Ohio, I'm worried about you, okay? It's very hard to write with this little pen on a laptop mouse thing, but there's Ohio. Here is Michigan. Okay. Now, everybody always knows those. What's here? Well, hopefully you know that this is Indiana. Boy, I hope Indiana is IN. I think it is. This one people tend to miss. This is Illinois. Okay. And this is Wisconsin. These are what became the Northwest Territory states. Now, you might know Chicago being right here on the waterfront, for example. Okay, so these became the Northwest Ordinance territories. If we look at a map real quick, nope, here we go. There's just one little peculiar thing I wanted to show you. Nope, clicked on the wrong thing. Where's the map? Don't you love it when you have to hear an old guy? There we go. Figure out what he's doing on a map. So again, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin. This little stretch of land right here, This is a weird little quirk. It's a long story why, but this is actually part of Michigan. So you see this little dotted line here. That's where the Wisconsin border ends. So Michigan is all of this, and then it also has this upper portion, which they call the Upper Peninsula, or the UP. And so there's a lot of people, people identify themselves up in the UP often as Upers or Oopers. So they're UP people, Upper Peninsula. And this is very, very different from the rest of Michigan. Michigan as a state looks pretty similar to Ohio if you drive through it. We've driven through quite a few times. And then there's this absolutely huge bridge, I mean huge bridge, that connects the Lower Peninsula to the Upper Peninsula to the UP. And I don't know if any of you are afraid of heights, but it is, I think, the third longest suspension bridge in the world. It is a bridge that has to sustain high winds, so it's purposely designed to sway in the wind. So when you drive over it, and I've probably driven over it a dozen times. First off, it takes forever to drive across it. You have to pay $3. I think it takes, boy, it might take 10 minutes to get across it. It's a really long bridge. Sometimes you can just feel it moving a little bit. I've been going across it when it's moving a foot, foot and a half in the wind, and it's graded, so you actually see through to the water. Oh, it's insane. And then when you get up here, it is very much just much more rural, just a lot of woods, a lot of bears, just a lot of just open forest, as opposed to, Michigan being a little bit more like Ohio. So the UP is definitely a unique place, but I digress. Okay, so the Northwest Ordinance creates those territories. Now, I think this is our last note here. Yep. The Virginia Military District was also created as a part of this in Ohio to give millions of acres of Ohio to veterans of the Revolutionary War as payment. Our new government actually didn't have enough money to pay the soldiers who fought in the Revolutionary War, and Ohio was the next state to really be developed just by geography of where it was compared to Pennsylvania. So a lot of times veterans were told, here, have this 200 acres, 500 acres in Ohio. As a matter of fact, and this will be your weird fact of the day, our area that we live in specifically was given to residents of Connecticut and some other areas, but a large area of Connecticut that suffered tremendous fires. Just fires that swept through and destroyed just town after town after town. And because the land then was given to them in Ohio to help them offset their horrible losses, the land they gave was called the fire lands. Not because these lands were on fire, but because they replaced the lands that were destroyed in Connecticut. That's why we have so many things around here that are called the fire lands. But we say it real fast, so it's Firelands. Firelands College, there's a Firelands High School, there's a Firelands Bank. Firelands isn't just Firelands, it's the fire lands. Does that make sense? Hard to tell in a room where no one else is in here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today for the rest of class, you are going to take a look at another document, and you do not have a writing assignment on this document. These are excerpts from the Northwest Ordinance. This is not your document of the week. This is just a document I'm giving you as practice because this is the sort of thing that's going to be on the test. And so what I'm going to have you do is just use this document to answer these questions. And I'm real upfront about this. This is not for a grade. And you might say, then why am I going to do this? Because it's going to be on the test. And you get to do this for free. In other words, with no penalty as practice right here. And it will tell you if you're right or wrong. And then you don't have to, see this for the first time in the test. This is the sort of skill I'll be using on all tests. But specifically, some versions of the test are going to have these questions. So, wanted to show you a few of these. So what you basically would do is you say, what's the status of each state according to Section 13 of the Northwest Ordinance? Well, you'll have this, and you just go, oh, Section 13. You don't have to memorize in history every document. I don't have every document memorized. But you do have to be able to go, okay, can I read something and understand it? Can I go to Section 13 and see what it says? Now, when you answer these, let's say, I'm going to give some fake answers real quick. I'm just going to click the first answer for each one, okay? And then, let's see. Any specific rights listed? I'll write no, there are. And then I hit submit, okay? Now again, it's not a grade, but it says view score. Let's view that score. And what it's going to do is it's going to tell me what the right answer was. And that's a very handy thing because that gives you some idea of how you did on it. So it's going to be a good practice. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are done with our test. And you're going to find out that tomorrow is a teacher in-service day, a professional day. So I will just have a memo about the fact that we don't have school tomorrow. Now, every other Wednesday we do, but because this particular Wednesday we have a professional day, I have to go to meetings all day, we will not have a specific assignment for tomorrow. So, great time to get your document of the week done. Okay? So do your practice document analysis, and then don't forget, for your document of the week this week, it's the Declaration of Independence, and do that as we've discussed. Okay? Everybody have a great day. I will talk to you again on Thursday.